Hello everybody, welcome to this Monday, the 1st of April, 2019. Not April's Fool, I have to point that out. I'm Doc Eon, and I'm here to ramble about minis. And first off, I want to show you the hassle-free mini Conrad the Barbarian, which this was my project for painting at the painting evening at the game store last week. And I completed him. And he's looking ready for battle as ever. Very tan. I was a bit hesitant. Maybe there aren't enough highlights on the skin tones, but no. I mean, he should be really brown if he's out in the sun swinging that axe all day long. Yeah. So. And he was painted not with my normal paints, but I only used the stuff I could borrow at the store, which is they have one of those big sets of Army Painter, which is, you know, the really big one with almost all their paints. Well, not all the paints, but all the basic range. I don't know how many there are. 50 paints in there? I didn't count them. I'll try next time. Anyway, so yeah, I think that was a successful test of my idea of painting a single mini start to finish when I'm there, and yeah, I'll probably keep doing that. Well, one or two. So that really all I got done? Well, yeah, I mean, these demons, they look pretty finished, don't they? Well, they are kind of 95% finished, but the issue is the wings. And, you know, this is not many hours of work, painting the backside of the wings. It's just that attaching them was more trouble than I expected, especially on the Lady Demons. The connection points were not good. I had to brute force it with a lot of super glue and a lot of accelerant. And I need to let that glue set. I did that very recently, and I don't want to get paint near it while the glue might still be active. I need to let it sit for till tomorrow. And you know, I am going to finish these tomorrow. Absolutely. I'm just like one day behind. Expect all 5 of these to be complete next week, plus, you know, maybe some of the other stuff that I'm going to show you next. Hey guys, just a little mid-assembly clip here to show you some issues I've been having. This dude lost his head. Actually, I lost his head somehow. I'm not exactly sure how that happened. But I delved into my bits box and found a replacement head, and I think it looks okay. It's the proper scale, at least. It's appropriately sized. Might need to do a little more gap filling to make it seem like he has a neck, but oh well. No, for the most part, assembly of these has gone fine. There's a few of them which have shields they're carrying on their backs. I'm going to leave those off until after, well, most of the painting, actually until I painted the backs, just because, you know, I'm a stickler for detail. And there were a few places, like on this figure, the joints did not line up very perfectly. There had to be some cutting, but I think it's hidden seamlessly. No, the only model I've had an issue with is this guy, and it's because of the cloak. For some reason, they sculpted the back of his robe, even though it's going to be hidden completely by the cloak. And then they had sort of like done it as a sort of half attachment thing here. And first off, I had the top part of this did not line up at all. It was crooked. I had to cut it. And even now, let's look at what happens if I put this in place. If Fumble, fumble, fumble. Yeah, can I even fit this damn thing in here? There. What the hell? I mean, come on. This is ludicrous. It doesn't fit at all. I mean, it just barely lines up. Sort of. Like this fold here does sort of line up with this one, and this one with that one. But the sides, and they're too short, and I mean, I can't even... What the hell am I gonna do with this? Well, obviously gap fill with some green stuff, and this cannot be left off until after painting, because, well, there's no point. It's like I said, you see it covers up all that stuff anyway. There's no point in painting that. I mean, I could like try to make it seem like this is there's a main cloak underneath, and there's sort of half cape here, but oh no. I'm gonna have to cut here and green stuff over a lot of this stuff to make it seem to blend. Ugh. Well, enough about my problems. Let's jump forward in time to the present day to see where I've gotten. So here's all the stuff that's newly prepped for the coming week. In the front we have these two sci-fi lady troopers from Hasselfried Miniatures. Attach their bases, primed, and a little bit of just slight black undercoating on the base there. And then we have all the alchemy miniatures, which are primed, and I plopped down some green on their bases simply because I had a little, let's call it a happy accident. I was putting some green, specifically it was this color, dead flesh, on my palette, and there was a little bit of a dry tip, and I squeezed too hard and I got a huge blob of paint on there. I can show you, see all of that paint there. Anyway, but you know, I decided to make the best of it, and so let's just use it for all these bases. Make them green instead of just brown. And then I thought maybe I can use it in another way. I have an idea. You see, these guys, I read up the lore on the Kingdom of Avalon, and they are your typical medieval kingdom, except their religion is based on worshipping an ancient tree. And that's why some of them have sort of uses some sort of green energy coming out of their hands. It's supposedly nature-based, but in the artwork they look a bit like corrupted nature. So I'm thinking, ancient tree god makes people look a bit weird. Can you say Shub-Niggurath? I knew you could. Well, so that's my theory. And I got this idea. What if since I had all this dead flesh as an appropriate color, what if I like mix a very thin glaze of that and use that just over everything as the first base coat? And then I add other colors on top of that, again thin glazes, washes, inks, that sort of thing mostly. And yeah, that would be a way of, you know, quick painting and also maybe getting in some interesting effects. We'll see if it works out. If it doesn't, I'll just have to add some paint the normal way. There were a few figures that had some issues. This guy, the cloak, I'm pleased to report, well, it looks a little lumpy, doesn't it? But it's kind of fixed. And I'm hoping that if at arm's length, people won't think too much of it, especially if you're just looking at it from above like this. Like the sweep of the cloak will look almost natural. The guy that I did the head swap on, let's see how he looks. He looks okay, doesn't it? He has a very strange pose. He's sort of, he's like he's knocked back or sitting, or at the same time leaping off this shelf, which is not entirely. It wasn't possible to pose it entirely straight on the base, but it's kind of somehow. It's very odd, very odd. And I noticed just now that on this guy, his head, on this side there's a slight gap there. Might need to fill that. We'll do that off camera. Yeah, but otherwise, this is what they look like assembled. This big brute of a guy, the monk, friar, I should say, and mostly just ordinary soldiers here. Here's another one who has some sort of magic effect, knight or something, but otherwise it's just troopers. And I, like I said, I have these separate shields. I put a little bit of paint on them already. I'll add them afterward. And yeah, this is a big collection of dudes to handle. Let's see if I have a lot of painting time in the coming week. With no new stuff arriving, I'll close out this episode by looking at my next projects. So for my next store project, I think I'll keep doing this thing where I bring just 1 or 2 minis to the painting nights at the game store. I picked another 2 hassle-free minis that were a bit unusual considering my normal painting style. 2 more sort of sci-fi. This one is called Pirates and Space Fantasies Andrea. She looks, yeah, she has a combination of a sword and a gun. And this one is Tomoko, which is more of a modern day figure, but I don't know, could have a sort of a post-apocalyptic feel to it. And the reason I picked out these 2 is because I wanted to use these bases. These are the same bases. I used two of the 5 from this pack for those other clearly post-apocalyptic minis I painted a while back. You know, it's broken pavement with bullet holes in it. What's it called? It says ruins bases. Yeah. So same thing here. I'm gonna clip off the tabs except for like 2 pins and pin them to these bases. Now for my main project, painting at home, I think because I've prepped a really big batch, like 12 minis, those alchemy guys, I don't think I'll finish all of them by next week. Some of them will spill over into the week after. So I don't want to prep too much new stuff, is one consideration. Another consideration is I want to keep using some of these bases. I have a small selection of these Micro Art Studios resin bases. They've been lying around, and I've realized that my previous strategy of looking at what minis I wanted to paint first and then looking if I have any bases for them, it wasn't happening. I wasn't using the bases. So now I'm doing the opposite. I'm looking at which bases do I have left over, and then I go scrounging among all my unpainted minis, seeing if I can find something that would fit on this base. This is what I did. I looked at these bases. I thought I want to use them, and then I looked around. What do I have that could look like it belongs there? Well, these ladies with their guns look like they might, you know, be in bullet hell. it seems appropriate. And what else do I have? Well, I have one pack of bases that I have not even opened yet and haven't even used, and it's these. These are called the Chaos Waste bases. And so what do I have that's 5 minis or less and that would fit on some of these? Well, looking again at the hassle-free minis, I actually pulled out some of my hassle-free resin masters, and this is not safe for work, by the way. These are naked. These are the succubi from hassle-free, and yeah, I don't think I want to bring these to the store to work on. Not that people are prudes, but you know, I don't want to seem like a perv. And I think I have never actually, I own quite a lot of these resin casts from Hassle-Free. I've never painted any of them because, again, I've been like, oh, I'll wait until I'm a better painter before I paint these extremely finely detailed minis. But I'm not getting any younger. I'm not getting any better, I think. Well, maybe a little better. You won't get better if you don't try. So I'll give them a go. But once I started thinking about that, I started wondering, well, do I really want to use these bases? Because I have a few of a different manufacturer that look like this. This is actually Micro Art Studio still, but they were done for Cool Mini or Not as part of some sort of deal. And this was a system where these are not resin, these are hard plastic. And they are molded for some reason or cast separate from normal plastic. These are 30mm, as they're called, W round bases. And as the picture, oops, as this picture implies, you sort of just glue them in there, or you can put them on. I suppose you can use these. Stick these on just normal 25mm bases. I'm not sure that would look as good. I might experiment a little bit with it. And here's an example of how they look painted up. This is even more of like a hellscape. So for demons like succubi, maybe this is even more appropriate. And also I was thinking, I was kind of trying to measure. There's one that has a very wide stance. I'm not sure she would even fit on one of these. It's almost like she's gonna be outside the base. So maybe I need to use these bigger bases. I'll dry fit them a little bit and see what I end up doing. It'll be an experiment. Yeah. Anyway. That was this week's episode. I hope it was as much fun as always. Click like, subscribe, share, comment, and I will see you in a week. I'm Badakiyan, and I'm, for now, signing off.